complete negligence of the quarterback situation with the Steelers.
Call him out then, kid.
Like, you would suggest that it's malpractice what he's doing with the quarterback situation with the Steelers. One of the most shocking things I ever saw, I think I saw this online recently, this will be the third consecutive year that the Steelers have completely redone their quarterback room. The third consecutive year. 3 years ago, you had Mason Rudolph, you had Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, you had Kenny Pickett. 2 years ago, you had Russell Wilson, you had Justin Fields, you had Kyle Allen, and this year you have Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson. In the last 25 years of the NFL's history, you haven't seen a quarterback room have complete turnover for 3 consecutive years outside of the Arizona Cardinals, and that's because Carson Palmer retired in 2017. 25 years, you have not seen complete turnover for an organization at quarterback room. What I would suggest is this. This is malpractice of the most important position in all of sports. Mike Tomlin, we herald him because they're a defensive team. But just because you're a defensive team does not mean you have to be offensively incompetent. Just because you're a defensive team does not mean you have to be offensively completely anemic at the most important position. Rather than the Steelers being a good defensive team, can they just be a good team? Rather than us saying, yeah, but they're a defensive team, can we just say they're a great team? I think, James, Mike Tomlin is to blame for what's going down with the quarterback situation.
You're absolutely right. Mike Tomlin gets all the blame in this situation right here. He was the main one that said, hey, listen, man, I hear what y'all saying. Y'all want Justin Fields and all that. It's my team. I'm the coach. Russ going into the ball game. He was the one who made that decision. Smart move. Smart move. And now you go into the offseason, and I believe he did what my mama told me never to do.
What mama say, Jay?
And that's never count your money before you get it.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what he did. We got Justin Fields. Don't trip. We're going to let Russ walk. We got him. He's going to time with us. And Fields said, no, I'm not. Don't worry about it. We got Sam Darnold. Ain't nobody, a bunch of people ain't going to be knocking on his door. We're going to get him. And you didn't. And you counted your money before you got it. Now you're sitting here and you're waiting on my dog Aaron Rodgers, and he probably don't know, do I want to play? Do I want to play for the Steelers? All this stuff going through his mind. And you're sitting here with Mason Rudolph because you counted your money before you had it, and you didn't end up getting paid. Right? And you done put all this stuff on layaway, and now you can't go get it. And that is what the situation that he's in right now. He's in a very, very bad situation at the quarterback spot. And to be honest with you, what's the answers? Because the answers to me is not a Kirk Cousins trade to go over there and Kirk Cousins play bad.
You told me that.
Right? It's not a second-round draft pick. It's not a late-round, first-round draft. But we don't know what these dudes are going to be. And you ain't showed us that you can develop these dudes. So really the only answer to help you is Aaron Rodgers. And we don't know what he wants to do. But he messed up this whole quarterback situation.
Hey, Jay, I'm just curious, because you count money before you get it. What type of money you got with them dudes? Justin Fields?
He still got a little bit.
I'm saying one got 30 million, one got 40 million.
But like what?
But I'm saying, just because you could be counting $20, you could be counting $10,000, Shady. You know, you count something before you get it.
Silver dollars there, you know? Like something.
You do a lot of appearances, Shady, and I'm probably sure in your mind you're like, yeah, this.
Okay. Let's talk about this. Yeah, listen, Mike Tomlin deserves tremendous amount of blame. And they keep doing these retreads, which kind of really drive me crazy, right? They keep trying to get other quarterbacks who have failed to have success. Mitch Trubisky, and then Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and now they're back to Mason Rudolph, and it's just like, you've already been there. Not to mention also the lingering of just the coaching staff offensively and not making a change when a change clearly needed to be made. So yeah, Mike Tomlin deserves tremendous amount of blame for this. Not to mention just the fact they consistently underpay, pay some of the least amount of money offensively, and some of the most defensively. And if you're going to be a defensive team, if you're going to be a great defensive team, well, then you better be a great defensive team. And the reality is that's a question mark. Last season, they were 8th. So again, if you're going to be this defensive football team and this great defensive team, well, then you got to be like what the Kansas City Chiefs were the last couple of years, the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to be top 2, top 3. You got to be giving up only 16, 17 points, 18 points. And you got to step up big in the playoffs. Like in 23, when the Baltimore Ravens were held to 10 points in the conference championship game. Compare that to what the Steelers gave up. I mean, and it was just, night and day of a difference. Again, we get a little bit closer here, not giving up 19 points in 2023. But then again, what happens? You give up 31 points. 31 in the playoffs. So it's not good enough to just kind of be pretty good defensively during the regular season. If you're going to be good, if you're going to be a defensive-led team, well, then you got to step up, especially in the playoffs. And they don't even do that. They don't even do that. They were giving up 20 points during the regular season. They gave up 28 points, and it could have been a lot more, quite frankly. At that point, it was just obvious that nothing was going there. And this continues to be the same thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, 10th now in 22. If you're going to be this amazing top defense, well, then be this amazing top defense. Where is it? I mean, in 2021, they were the 20th ranked defense, giving up 23 points. So I guess like that's where things become confusing to me. You give up 42 points to the Kansas City Chiefs. So even when we talk about, even when they say, oh, finally now, here we go. This is kind of where you're looking at in 2020. They were giving up 19.5 points, which is great. And then what happens in the playoffs? You gave up 48. I remember that game. That game was an absolute disaster. The Steelers were a great team, and then they completely fell apart in the second half of the season. But then that was like, I don't even know if you can necessarily blame that all on the defense, because the offense was such a disaster with all the turnovers. I mean, like, I actually unpacked that game because everyone tries to act like that's like this amazing game for the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. And I was like, no. That was about the Steelers. Just, I don't even know. I remember getting together, getting ready to watch that game with my cousin. And I was like, oh yeah, let's watch, Cleveland Browns versus Steelers. This would be fun. And it was anything but that. But again, that's my point. Your defensive forward team, this is great. You're only giving up 19 points, and whether a lot of it was because of offensive issues doesn't matter. You still gave up 48 points when it was all said and done. So these great defensive teams are either not actually great defensively, or when you need them to be great defensively, they don't. They don't win. They don't step up when they need to. Especially in the playoffs. So yeah, Mike Tomlin, because then we're back in 2018, back to the 16th ranked defense, giving up 22 points. So that alone, Mike Tomlin, like, even if you just don't want to blame him all for just the quarterback situation, well, then just blame him for, like, okay, well, this is supposed to be such a defensive forward team with an awesome defensive head coach. Well, then why aren't you consistently awesome in defense? And why do you not step up when it matters most? Why is it when you play the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs, why don't you hold them to 10 points like the Kansas City Chiefs were able to do? Why can't you slow down the Buffalo Bills like the Kansas City Chiefs could do to a degree? Like, where are those games when it matters most? But yeah, I mean, offensively, I think it's like, I do blame Mike Tomlin for this, but you never know if the the other people, the suits and ties, if they're making more of these decisions. But I doubt it, because I'm pretty sure if Mike Tomlin was pounding the table and saying, we got to go out and get a quarterback, etc., we got to spend more money offensively, etc., more resources, etc., need a new OC, that they would do that. So yeah, I mean, I get it, never a losing season, but like, does it matter? I mean, seriously, does it really matter at this point? I mean, who cares? Seriously, like, who cares? I just, yeah. I think even defensively right now, they're living off of this more facade than the reality. And even in the years when their defense is really great, it's still not enough to be this defensive forward team. When, again, when you look at some of the more recent great defensive teams, you see those defenses step up. You see them, right? The Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl, they stepped up. They didn't give up now 35 points to the Eagles, right? They weren't a great defense all year and in the playoffs, and then when they needed it most, just gave up a bunch. And they didn't do that. They stepped up. The Kansas City Chiefs went up against the Baltimore Ravens, the best offense in the NFL. Them they went up against three top offenses, the Miami Dolphins, the 49ers, and the Ravens, and slowed them all down. Slowed them all completely down. They were a defensive forward team with like a pretty average offense in 23, but the defense was like, yeah, we got you. Like, those are the difference. That's the difference between actually winning playoff games, winning the Super Bowl, and getting knocked out in the first round. So even if you don't want to give him all the blame for the quarterback situation, you want to say, oh, it's ownership and management and this and that, fine. But then there's no explanation then for the defense. None. So, yeah. I don't know why Mike Tomlin continues to skirt any type of criticism. Yeah. It's doesn't really make a lot of sense at this point, because too much time has passed of underperforming badly, where it's just like, of course you deserve it. Just because you won a Super Bowl doesn't mean that you're in again, never a losing season again. It's like, okay, well, who cares? Seriously, I mean, like, who cares? Andy Reid's had losing seasons, and I don't think he cares. You know, the Eagles have had losing seasons in the last 8 years, and they've been to 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them. I don't think it matters that they've had a losing season. Doesn't matter. So, and we know that because the Steelers haven't had a losing season, and yet they haven't won a playoff game in, like, you know, the Eagles have won 2 Super Bowls and been to 3 since the Steelers have won a last playoff game. I mean, like, that's wild. That really is wild when you really think about it. And when you see teams like the Chiefs or even the Bills and the Ravens able to beat up on each other and lose, it's not like you're just being beaten by like a juggernaut. The Bills can beat the Ravens. The Chiefs beat the Bills. The Chiefs beat the Ravens. Like the Bengals beat the Ravens. Like you see these teams get beat up on each other. So it's not like you're like, oh, well, what do you want us to do? You know, Patrick Mahomes can't lose and we're in his division. You know, like, that's not even the case either. So there really becomes no excuse at that point. And you can't say, well, how are we supposed to stop Lamar? He's an unbelievable quarterback. Like, first off, we know the Steelers have stopped Lamar. And like I just told you, you saw the Chiefs stop Lamar. We see the Chiefs, slow down the Bills, the Bengals. So you can't just be, well, are you kidding me? We have to go up against Lamar and Joe Burrow. And well, they somehow do it to each other when it matters most. So it's just like, miss me with the excuses, honestly. Miss me with the excuses. It's the same thing that I say to Dallas Cowboys fans when they want to, like, praise how amazing their team is for winning 12 games in a row, 12 games, like 3 seasons in a row or whatever, and tell me how great Dak Prescott is. And it's like, well, you never even been to an NFC championship game. And since Dak Prescott got drafted, the Eagles have gone to 3 Super Bowls and won 2. And they're like, oh yeah, it's because they were on a stacked roster. And it's like, but you told me that you had a stacked roster. Yeah, but like, we just, we had a bad game plan in the playoffs. Okay, why though then? Why? You won all these games. Why do you keep failing then in the playoffs? Dak Prescott's better than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts just has a better roster. Okay, you guys are in the same division. Why can't you build a better roster then? Like, it's all. Then the question is always, okay, well then why? Why is this other team doing it better than you are then? Every excuse that you make is actually more of a criticism of your own franchise for not getting the job done. I mean, that's really what it gets boiled down to. It's one thing if you just really just have bad luck with some injuries, and don't get me wrong, that's part of it too, to a degree. But like, the Eagles lost some pieces to injuries, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, like all these teams have. They still find a way to at least be better than what the Steelers have done. And it's, you know, it's frustrating to see. Honestly, it's frustrating to see. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do you think Mike Tomlin's at fault for the Steelers quarterback situation? And also just about the defense in general. The fact that, like, we keep saying that this is a great defensive team, but yet how accurate is that, truly, when we actually really boil it down? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.